So which one do you guys prefer to edge with? A trimmer or a stick edger? I'm going to give you some pros and cons for both. Alright, did you guys notice that when I was doing it with the trimmer that the gap gets a little bit wider? It's really hard to keep a really thin line, and I think that's what looks the best. As you notice with this one, I can actually walk really fast while using this, and I think the line is nice and thin. There's not that big gap there. I don't like that big gap. I see a lot of properties where people have mowed where that gap just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I don't like that. I like my gap to be really nice and thin, and I think that looks the best. The pros for using a trimmer to edge with. Obviously, you do not have to buy another piece of equipment. You don't have to buy edger blades. You don't have to do none of that. You can just use your trimmer while you're weeding around the house. You can just use your trimmer to edge with. The cons to using a trimmer. It's very hard. It's a skill that you have to practice and practice and practice, and that takes time. Another downside for using a trimmer to edge with is it's just plain out harder. I believe it's just harder to do. It's harder to keep a straight edge. That's why it takes a lot of practice to really get good at it, to where you can knock stuff out in a timely manner. All right, the con for a stick edger. Obviously, you have to buy another piece of equipment. You have to buy the blades for them. Blades aren't too expensive, but it is an extra cost that you will have to endure if you want to buy a stick edger. All right, the good thing about having a stick edger is I think it's faster. I think it takes less time to edge with one of these than it does a trimmer. And I think you get a better result with one of these. I think it takes less effort to keep a straight line on this than it does with a weed eater. Also, when you're doing big properties, like I said, this takes less effort. If you're doing it with a trimmer, you're going to get tired faster. You're going to get worn out faster. I think this is a lot less wear and tear on your body for edging than it would be a weed eater. If you're a new guy and you've never edged with a string trimmer before, I recommend getting one of these. It does cost a little bit more money to buy another piece of equipment, but it's a lot easier to learn. Also, when you're going to hire somebody, you have to keep in mind that you're going to have to train them on how to edge with a trimmer, which is hard to do, or in a stick edger, which is a lot easier to learn. It's a lot faster to learn on one of these than it is a string trimmer. A lot of the older guys that have been doing it for a long time, those guys are really good at it, but it took practice. It took months and months and years to get very efficient at using a string trimmer. So I recommend one of these. I've never been good at edging with a weed eater. Never been good at it. I can do it, but I'm really slow at it. So I recommend getting a stick edger. It will help your lawn care business.